December 22nd, 1982. This is Joe Todd. Interview with Mamie Bostick. Mrs. Bostick, when were you born?
1918, February the 12th.
Where were you born?
4.5 miles west of Tribbey. 4 miles west and a half south, rather. Put it that way.
What's your first memory of Tribbey?
The first time I ever remember coming to Tribbey was on a load of cotton. We'd pick cotton, and my daddy brought the cotton to the gym. And us kids come along. We had to see that done.
What was Tribbey like at that time?
Well, it was a pretty good-sized town. A lot of people in it. We thought it was big. It might not have been as big as us kids thought it was, but it was pretty good-sized because there was 3 gyms here at the time. And there was 3 grocery stores, post office, and a hotel, and a cafe, and the bank, and we had the school up here then. It was a school. Went from the starting of school to the 12th grade, and all the old buildings is all tore down. Now, they've tore them all down and moved them out. I guess the old house right across over there, and then one up on the hill there is the oldest 2 houses there is in Tribbey. And they're just about to fall.
Who ran the gyms in Tribbey?
I don't even remember.
You know who was postmaster at that time?
Robert Fowler was our postmaster. And Whistler was our mail carrier. His name was Whistler. Now, I don't even know what his first name was. Mr. Whistler's all I ever knew. That's what us kids always had to call him. But whenever I was growing up, it was Mr. and Miss. And I never did know the first names.
Yeah. Did you go to this school out here?
I started up here in the 3rd grade. I went to Council Creek, which is 3.5 miles west of here. And they consolidated Council Creek with Tribbey. And I started up here in the 3rd grade.
Who was your favorite teacher?
Mr. Roberts, Jack Roberts.
What did he teach?
All of it.
Everything.
He taught any part of it. He was a good teacher. He was a ball coach also. He was our basketball coach, and he finally got to be the superintendent of the school, and he taught school there until they consolidated it to Monette. And then he went to Arizona.
Who was your father?
Willie Ramsey.
Where was he from?
He was born here in Oklahoma. But now I don't know just whereabouts in Oklahoma. But he was born in Oklahoma. Lived right out west of town here as long as he could remember. And my grandpa lived on a place out there, had a place out there 4 miles west of here. Well, it's just about 4 miles straight west now of here. And that's where Daddy was raised.
What was your grandfather's name?
Nathan.
Where's he from?
I believe he come from New Mexico, but I wouldn't swear to it. But I believe that's where they said that Grandpa was from. And we lived there on part of the place. It was, we had a half section, and it had 3 houses on it, and we lived in one of them from the time I could remember until I was grown.
Do you have any idea, do you remember when, did anybody ever discuss in your family or tell you when your grandfather came from New Mexico approximately?
Whenever he was a kid.
That's been a long time.
That was a long time, because when he died, he was 97. And he's been dead now, let's see, we've been here 17. About 19, 20 years. And he was a little kid whenever he come here.
I just wondered if you had any idea of the approximate date, approximate year.
No, I sure don't. I don't know as I ever heard him say anything about what year it was that they come. But I do remember them talking about coming through in a wagon.
What did they tell you about that? About the
They come through in a covered wagon, and they stopped at the water holes, and there was always green grass, they said, to feed the horses, and they drove cows through, of all things. I said, Lordy, I'd read about such as that in the geography books, but I never did, think about any of the family of coming through in the wagon, but now they did. And they lived out there until him and Grandma both passed away. Grandma was 92 when she passed. No, she was 99 when she passed away, and he is 98.
Oh,
They just outlived themselves. Both of them did. Their mind, they just outlived their mind. And now my grandma on my mother's side, I don't know where they were from, or where they come from, or anything. I never did hear any of them say anything about it, because they both died whenever I was just a kid.
Your mother was from around here, from around Tribbey?
Well, now, I don't know where she was from Ravi. She was born at Ravi, Oklahoma.
I see.
And I guess she was raised down there. I suppose she was. She never did say. And I never did ask her, because I thought, well, I had a lot of time to ask her. But, since she's been gone, I can think of so many things that I would love to ask her. And things that I need to really know. I should have asked her, but I didn't. I never even thought about it.
Who was your mother?
Her name was Anderson, Belle Anderson.
Where was she from?
She was born at Ravi, Oklahoma.
What did your father do?
Farmed.
What did he raise?
Cotton.
You ever chop cotton?
Oh, good Lord, yes. And pick cotton and pull bowls.
Can you tell me how do you chop cotton?
Oh, good night. That makes my back hurt to even think about it. Much less try to tell you. Well, now, the way we chopped it, we take a hoe and cut out all the cotton, just the width of the hoe.
How wide is the hoe?
Well, some of them was wider than others. But just the width of that hoe was what we had to go by. About 6 or 8 inches wide. And we'd leave a stalk of cotton here and there.
Did you have a machine that planted cotton, or you had to do it by hand?
We planted it with a walking planter.
What's that?
It was just a walking planter. Outfit that you put the cotton seed in, and the corn seed, and all of our seeds was planted with this old planter. And hooked a horse to it and taken off down the road.
How much cotton could you pick in a day?
I couldn't pick very much. But I used to. I could pull bowls. I could pull a lot of bowls. I've pulled as high as 1,000 pounds a day of bones, but about 200 or 300 pounds is all I could pick in picking cotton. I could never hold out to pick cotton, but now pull bones I could.
Now, what's the difference between pulling bones and picking cotton?
Well, you pick it where you just pick the cotton out of the burr. You pull it where you pull burr and all off.
How come you pull the burr and all off, too?
Well, that was the easiest way to get it out. And it was getting cold weather, and it was time to get it into the gin. The gins was going to close pretty quick, and we had to get it out of the field.
What was the price of cotton back then?
Oh, Lord, I don't know. I have pulled bones and picked cotton for 50 cents a day. Make 50 cents a day. A lot of days. And I guess the highest that I ever got paid for pulling bones was 75 cents. He wanted to plant him some cotton and some wheat.
Huh?
Well, George got out and bought him a tractor and stuff to work with, you know, and he got out there and planted him some cotton, and it turned to cotton. I never seen so much cotton in my life as that kid did make, and we hired colored folks from Arcadia to come out there and pull it, or help us pull it. And we had two little boys that put rocks in their sacks. I'm telling you, you'd go, and they wouldn't weigh it. I had to weigh their cotton for them. And I'd go up there to weigh their cotton. My God, these little boy sacks is heavy. And I'd think, boy, now they've really got them stuff full. And I'd get up there to empty them, and they'd have rocks in them. I told them one day, I said, I'm going to start throwing rocks, and I'm going to hit somebody. I said, the next sack I empty, it's got rocks in it, I'm going to throw it at them. And do you know, I never did have any more rocks in cotton sacks. But them little boys would just fill their sacks up with, they was getting paid for it, you see.
Sure.
They was really having them a ball out there. But now they could really get that cotton gathered. But we pulled bones there that year for, well, we started in the early fall, and it was in January when we finished up. And them little old boys would come up there. They'd bring a school bus full of people from Arcadia over there to pull bones. And them little boys would pull bones all right, when they had to. Of course, whenever they thought they could get away with it, they put rocks in their sacks.
What kind of house do you live in?
Just an old house, one of the oldest houses there is in town. Just about ready to cave in on us.
Frame house?
Yeah.
Wood?
Wood with it's got siding around the sides of it.
Indoor plumbing?
It's just semi.
Semi.
Uh-huh.
What semi?
We have running water in it.
You got a privy outside.
Uh-huh. And that's what they call semi. You knew what that was when I asked you.
I had an idea.
Oh, gee.
You talked about all the different buildings, all that were here in Tribbey when you were a little girl. What about churches? You didn't mention any churches. Did you have church buildings?
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
How many churches were there?
Well, they was two.
You know what the denominations were?
One of them's a Baptist, and the other is the Church of Christ. And they are still here.
The same churches.
They're sitting exactly where they was whenever I was a kid. I've been to both of them.
And the buildings they have redone
They've
the buildings?
redone the buildings, and they don't even look like the same places. But they're the same buildings, same places and all, that they had whenever I was a kid.
What about your mother? Did she make lye soap? Did she teach
Oh,
you how
yeah,
to make homemade soap,
yes,
stuff like that?
yes.
Well, how did she teach you how to make lye soap?
Well, you put water in it, you put lye, and you put, we used home cracklings.
Uh-huh.
We rendered our lard, and we taken the cracklings and made the soap out of it.
Uh-huh.
And we cooked that down and poured it out in a trough that Daddy had built for us.
Uh-huh.
And whenever it got cold, we cut it out in bars, and we had soap. That's the way we made lye soap.
Did you make your own lye?
Huh? No, Daddy bought it in cans, little cans.
How do you render lard?
Well, you put it in a big old wash kettle outside, or that's the way I like to render it. You can render it in the house on the stove, but it takes too long. It stinks the house up. I like to put it in a big old wash kettle outside and build a fire under it, and just stand there every once in a while and stir it to keep it from burning, till it cooks all the grease out of your pieces of meat you put in it. I've rendered a many a can of lard, and made a many a bar of soap, and washed a many a rag of clothes with it.
Yeah, tell us, how'd you do your laundry?
On a rub board. We're taking... Now this is funny to you. You never done none of this.
No, I never did that.
You take an old wash tub, you fill up a wash kettle and heat it with heat the water in it. Before you set them in your tub, you wash these clothes. Then you put them in this here boiling water and boil them a while. And then you put them back in the tub and you rub them till they're clean and rinse them and hang them on the clothesline. Now that's the way you wash clothes. That's the way we washed it.
How many times a week do you wash clothes?
Once a week.
Once a week.
We washed every week that rolled by, rain or shine, sleet or snow.
I imagine you had to, didn't you?
Yes, there was 9 of us kids. Mom and Daddy, we had to wash. And then whenever I married, we had 3 kids, and I had to wash every week for them 3 kids.
What about ironing?
Well, I built a fire in the cook stove, set my iron on the stove and hid it, and then I put me a quilt on the table, and I just got up there and ironed away.
How long would your iron stay hot?
Oh, sometimes you could get the front of a shirt on. Sometimes this depended on how hot your iron was.
You just have one iron, you have 2 irons?
Oh, no, I had 3 irons. And I kept the trail hot from the table to the stove heating my irons.
Did you have, what did you use for starch, or did you all have starch?
We used flour.
How do you use flour for starch?
Yes, tell me about that.
Well, we boiled us a kettle of water. We'd take us a little bit of flour in a cup or a glass and get it all mixed up with some water, you know, and pour it in there and get it just the right thickness. And there we had our starch.
What's the right thickness?
Well, sometimes you wanted the things stiffer, well, you made your starch stiffer. If it was just for ordinary wear, why, you made it just medium. That's the way we done it, anyway. And you'd fix a big old kettle full of starch, set her off out there and let it get cool, and mix it up with some water. Start your clothes.
You said you were one of 9 children. How many girls, how many boys?
There were 6 of us girls. 3 boys.
How many of your brothers and sisters are still living?
We're all still alive except one.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We lost my brother my brother next to me 3 years ago this last August. And then in October we lost Mama. In December we lost Daddy. I mean, it looked like it's just going to take us all right at once.
Okay.
Okay, what was the last thing we asked?
We're talking about soap and washing clothes and ironing and making starch.
Yeah, and I asked her how many brothers and sisters she had.
Oh, yeah, that was it. You talked about your brother dying and your parents.
Mm-hmm.
All within the space of about 3 months.
Yeah.
I got a question I'd like to ask. I know that right around about that time, like from 1900, say 1920, 25, there was a lot of sickness, like a lot of epidemics, flu and smallpox and measles and diphtheria. Was there any problem with that around here, around in the Tribbey area?
Yes.
Long about, can you pinpoint it or can you be...
No, around about 22, 23, somewhere in that vicinity. There was a lot of flus. And measles, chicken pox, mumps, and everything else that you could think of. We all had them.
Do you have any idea about the death toll?
No, I don't. There was several around that passed away with it that I didn't know of. But there was some of them that died with measles, and some of them died with what they call the flu. It was diarrhea. And I lost a little brother with the measles. He was just 3 months old. I woke up one morning, I had the measles. I was broke out all over. And I couldn't even get out of bed. I was sick. And about 9 o'clock that morning, well, Mama went to... She had cleaned up the kitchen, and she'd come in and was going to take care of the babies. They were twins. And the little boy was dead. And they called the doctor out there, and he said the measles is what killed him. They broke out on the inside and didn't break out on the outside. And the next morning, the other baby had it. I mean, on the outside. He told Daddy to get whiskey and give every one of us 2 or 3 teaspoons of whiskey. And that would help break them out. And that's what he done. He gave every one of the kids a spoonful of whiskey. And, I mean, they all broke out. Every one of us had it.
Oh, my. What was the doctor's name? Do you remember?
Doc Cordell.
Where was he from?
Tribbey.
You had your own doctor here in Tribbey?
Oh, yeah, they was... Let's see, Doc Cordell and Doc Calhoun. There was 2 doctors here at one time.
General practitioners, regular family doctors. What about dentists and people like that? Did you have any of those?
Not that I know of. I think everybody had to go to Shawnee for their dental work. And if you need to go to Shawnee, well, you drove your team over here and rode the train.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way we went to Shawnee. When we had to go to Shawnee for anything, well, we drove the wagon and team to Tribbey and then caught the train.
Is this the Santa Fe? Was it the
Yeah.
Santa Fe? How long did it take you to get from Tribbey to Shawnee on the train?
Not very long.
Do you have any idea how
I
long?
don't have any idea how long it was because that's been too many years ago.
When's the first time you went to Shawnee?
Oh, I guess I was about 12 or 13-year-old, somewhere in that vicinity. The first time I remember ever going to Shawnee.
What was your first impression of Shawnee?
Well, I thought it was the biggest town I've ever seen. And it was. Because Shawnee was a big place. as long as I can remember. It was as big as it is now, or bigger. And I thought, gosh, we've got in a huge town when we got off that depot. And we walked up to main part of town, you know. Daddy taking me and my sister and one of my brothers up there and bought us some shoes to go to school. That's how come me to go to Shawnee. We had to go up there to buy our clothes. We didn't have a dry goods store here, or, you know, where you could buy shoes or anything. And we had to go to Shawnee to buy them. And I thought Shawnee was the biggest place I'd ever been around. Scared me to death. You can imagine how scared you get in a big place when you're used to a small town.
Oh, yeah.
In the 1920s, were there many flappers around Tribbey?
Well, now, I just don't know. I think there were several around here, but I wouldn't swear to it. Because I never did, you know, we didn't get to come into town very often.
Uh-huh.
And we lived off out there in the country.
Uh-huh.
And we never was bothered with nobody
Uh-huh.
being around us. And, but they used to, I guess, well, I think there were 2 saloons here at one time.
Oh, my. 2 saloons.
What about bootleggers?
Oh, Lord, everybody you met nearly was a bootlegger.
Who was the biggest bootlegger?
That's the way they made their living, was making moonshine and selling it. And,
Who was the biggest bootlegger?
well, I don't really know, because it was all about the same. Everybody you met, and it got where that we couldn't go hunting. Us kids always liked to hunt, and we'd go hunting. And it got where we couldn't go hunting because you're liable to run up on a still somewhere. And Daddy'd say, now, don't you kids go this way, don't you kids go this way. Now, don't go down this way. Now, you can hunt right along out here. And that was our limit. And if we went any further, you'd liable to run into somebody cooking off one. Deal. I never heard of it.
Yeah, where's Springfield?
By Bartlesville.
Over by Bartlesville. Oh, man.
Oh, it used to be called Pollock Town. It did.
Oh,
And the Pollocks made prune wine they call Pruneville.
I see. Oh, I bet that was good.
It keeps you right there.
That's all right, smart kids.
Oh, seriously.
Did you all living outside of town? Did you all keep a vegetable garden? That
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can and make jelly and.
Canned everything you could get. We raised everything we eat here.
Is there a good place around here to get poke salad?
Oh, yes. You can find poke salad anywhere you want to go out here and along the road or in any pasture, around any barn, you can find poke salad.
Do you all eat a lot of poke salad in those days?
No, not any one we eat right now.
And how much is that?
That's very little. About 2 messes in the spring,
Well,
and that's all I
It'll just about
That's all that I ever cared for. But I always liked, you know, a fresh mess of poke salad every year.
What about things like sand worms and
Mhm.
wild blackberries?
Yep,
And,
there was a lot of them. And we gathered them. Made jelly out of them. Made preserves out of them.
yeah, I still do.
I do too.
Oh.
Up until this year, and this year I haven't made nothing. I never got to can a thing, never got to make a jar of nothing, because I was sick whenever all that come off. And my neighbors out there picked their berries, and they brought me part of them. One of them was going to give me all of them, and I said, no, I don't want them all. I said, you picked them, and she froze them. And I said, you can have part of them. I said,
What sort of things did you grow in your garden?
well, we growed potatoes, and we growed onions, and tomatoes, and cabbage, turnips, sweet potatoes, anything that was growable.
All the good stuff.
Beans, and peas, and what have you.
What about corn?
Corn? No, we didn't grow no sweet corn. We went to the field and gathered field corn. It was a lot better than sweet corn.
Well, I think so too. I prefer field corn to sweet corn, but anyway, I just was curious.
And we'd, during roast meal time, well, Daddy'd take the wagon, and we'd go down and gather 5 or 6 tow sackfuls of roast meals. And he'd haul them to the house, and we shucked them, cut it off, and put it in the pressure cooker and canned it for the winter. That's the way and we canned beans, and we canned peas. We had all kinds of canned goods. And Mama always raised a bunch of chickens. We had our eggs, and she had a bunch of turkeys. We had turkeys to eat if we wanted them, guineas, ducks, or anything else like that. All we had to do is go out and kill them and dress them.
You didn't have any problem for food, that's correct.
No, we had all we could eat.
Did you have electricity out there? One more
No.
question. Well, how'd you keep things cold? If you had to keep things cold, how did you keep them cold?
Well, in the summertime, we put them in a tub of cold water.
Did you have a well?
Yeah, drawed water with a rope and a bucket. And we'd put the cold water in this tub, put our milk and butter down in there, wrap it up with cloth, and ever so often we had to empty that tub and go draw fresh water and put over that milk and butter so it'd stay cold for the next meal.
I see, okay. What about wintertime? You didn't have any problem in wintertime when it was cold?
No. We didn't know what ice was, or what a refrigerator was, or electricity, or anything like that whenever I was a kid. I was grown before I ever knew what electricity was.
What about the other people around Tribbey? Did they have electricity?
No, there wasn't no electricity.
It wasn't here?
We had coal oil lamps.
Okay.
Everybody had coal oil lamps. I don't know what year that Tribbey got electricity, but Tribbey got electricity here way back yonder, several years back. And then eventually they got electricity out in the countries. But it was several years after Tribbey had got electricity, before the country got.
Did you help your father butcher?
I had to help with all of it, yeah.
You butcher hogs?
Mm-hmm. We butchered hogs and we butchered calves.
Make head? Did you make head cheese?
Yeah.
How do you make it?
Well, now, I don't know. I forgot how. I haven't made any in years and years. And I've just flat forgot how to make head cheese. And Mama always made it. And we would cure our meat, salt it down. We had a great big old smokehouse, and we had a big old meat box in there. We'd fill that up and then put, salt in on top of this meat and just stack it in there. We'd have meat all winter. Old salt meat. But it was good then.
Yeah.
And when we butchered a calf, well, we cooked it down. Mama had some great big old stone jars, great big tall stone jars, and she would fry this meat till it would get just almost done and lay it all in here, and then pour hot grease over it. And whenever we wanted beef, well, we'd just go and take out some of that, put it in the skillet, and finish it. Kids nowadays wouldn't know how to do things like that. But I've helped Mama put up a many a calf in hogs in the summertime as well. We'd put our own meat down like that. Slice it off of the, bone, the hams and the shoulders. Put it, fry it, and put it in a big jar and pour hot grease over it. Tie a big cloth over it then and put a board over it. And then whenever we got ready for some of it, we'd just go and take a fork and just take it out a piece at a time and put it in the skillet and put it on the stove. And you had your fresh meat right there.
Where did you fall in the children? Were you the middle, youngest, oldest?
I was the oldest.
Uh-huh. So you got to do all the helping.
I had to do all the helping and carry all the kids. I carried them all on my hip. Oh, Lord.
What about the Depression, 1930s? Did that affect you all?
Oh, yes, it did. We really had it that year. We didn't make very much cotton. Our garden stuff didn't grow very good. We didn't make very much stuff to eat. But we had to put it up, what of it we did, whatever it was. And we got on the welfare. And we got a few commodities, as they called them, and cut wood to make a fire. We cut wood all day, keep a fire all night. This nearly freeze to death. And, but it was hard, and I had 2 dresses to wear to school. One pair of shoes for school and Sunday. That was what I had. And I'd wear a dress today and come home, wash it out, hang it up. And then put on a new one in the morning and wear it to school and come home, wash it, hang it up, dry it, iron it, put it back on. That's the way we went to school.
Were there many WPA projects around Tribbey?
Yeah, and they was. There was several of them around here, and there was a lot of people on them.
What kind of projects were they?
Well, now, mostly road work. They mostly worked on the roads and tried to fix them, keep the roads where people could get over, because back them days, we got a lot of rain. A lot more than we get now, and every time it rained, the bridges would go out. And they'd have to build a new bridge. And the WPA done that. They'd come in and build our bridges for us. They'd spend days and days and days that we couldn't even leave home. There wasn't no way you'd get out. Because the bridges was out both directions from us.
What about CCC?
Yeah. Now, we didn't have no camp here. But, well, I believe there was one in Arkansas that our boys from here went to. There was several of them went to it. And my oldest brother, my brother next to me, the one that we lost here 3 years ago, well, he went to the CC camp. And There was a lot of guys from around here then. But, and I believe they were all stationed in Arkansas. I believe that's where they were at. We didn't have no camps right around here. There wasn't nothing like that right around close to us. But,
what about World War II?
well, it was rough.
What'd you do for the war effort?
Well, my husband worked for the Navy. He helped build them Navy places up there in Norman. You know, they had 3 Navy stations in Norman. Well, now he worked there. And I stayed home taking care of the kids. But he worked up there. And I had 2 brothers in service. And one of them went overseas and the other one didn't. He got a medical discharge. He had a leakage in his heart. And he got a discharge and they sent him home. And the crazy thing tried to hide out on the boat. He was going to go in spite of them. And they caught him, put him off. And my oldest brother, he went to Korea. And then, but my next brother then, one next to him, well, he got to come home. And he went to work up there where George worked for the Navy, helping build those bases.
When did you get married? What was the date?
The 18th day of April.
April the 18th.
What year?
1936.
It's a good year. Where'd you meet your husband?
Well, I knowed him all my life.
Well, that was
we growed up together. He lived 2 miles from us.
Oh,
And we went to school together. And we got married. And he never did have to go to the service. He got too old one day, and the next day he had to go in to take his examination, and he was one day too old. They changed the age limit, and whenever he went down for his examination, well, he was one day too old, and he didn't have to go. But outside of that, he would have been in service too.
You got 3 kids?
Uh-huh.
How many grandkids?
I've got 6 grandchildren. And 1 great-grandbaby.
Oh.
I've seen it one time.
Where are they?
It lives in Dallas.
Oh, you don't make many trips to Dallas.
No, I don't make any of them to Dallas. And they don't get to come home very often. They were up this summer and brought the baby in. Look, our oldest daughter's son has a little baby girl. And our youngest daughter, her 2 boys, is married. And our son's 2 boys are still single. So I don't know whether I'll ever have any more grandchildren or great-grandchildren or not. Her youngest son and them come in there one day, and they had a little old dog carrying a little pup. And she said, "What's that?" And they said, "This is our baby." And she said, "Well, I thought I was supposed to have better-looking grandchildren than that." I'll tell you, I just laughed at her. I think you crazy nuts. But she said she guessed that was the only kind of grandkid she could get. And
Who was Tribbey named after?
Mr. Tribbey.
Who was he?
Well, he was the man that founded Tribbey.
When was it founded?
I don't even know.
What did Mr. Tribbey do? I mean,
I don't have any idea what he done. He lived here in town, and he built the town. But now, what he done, otherwise I don't know. And I never did meet anybody but just one of his boys is all that I ever met. And one of them come here a few years back.
What's his first name?
I don't even know that. Mr. Tribbey's all that I ever knew. Us kids was taught to say Mr. and Miss. And I never did know their first names. We lived by neighbors out there that I didn't know their first names because Mom and Daddy never would allow us to say anybody's first name.
Do you have any questions?
no, I'm asking all my questions.
Do you have any comments about Tribbey?
No more, I don't reckon, than what I've already told you.
Now, the name of your store is Bostick Grocery.
Uh-huh.
How long have you had it?
About 9 years.
Is this the only store in town?
It's the only store in... This is Tribbey.
This is...
That's what I tell everybody. This is Tribbey right here. This is the only thing there is, except a car wash and telephone office. We've got a car wash right over there and telephone office up there. And that's all.
How many people live in Tribbey?
I guess they'd be around close to 200.
Well, I guess so.
Finishes for me.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.